What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bleach Review, Episode 9 of the Thousand Year Blood War arc. I'm Juicy J, of course, accompanied with Isaac for our Bleach Review and special guest. And I mean, at this point, y'all are just a staple on it, but work in progress. Brent couldn't be here, of course, but Casey's here representing. How are y'all doing today? How are you doing, Casey?
Doing pretty good, and I'm hyped to talk about this episode. As you know, I have been waiting for this to happen for so long.
I mean, I'm just saying it. Ice, how you feeling, man? How you doing? I know it's late. I appreciate you coming back.
I just want to say I'm sorry for the video that was released prior to this.
We
I didn't
tried.
know what I did, but apparently I did something. So this is take two, and I apologize for that. But I do want to give a quick shout out to the new ASOs we got. We're steadily growing, and I appreciate it. So
We
yeah,
love
no,
y'all.
I'm
We
doing
love
good.
you. Well, and as Isaac said, we tried to do this before. Whip was a part of it. Casey was a part of it. We did it before, and then we released a video that was pretty creepy. It was just me talking, almost narcissistic, but definitely creepy, like laughing at jokes that weren't there. I mean, I watched. It was harrowing. So we're trying this again. It looks like all the levels are working. So let's just dive right into it. I'm going to reposition because I'm a big guy in a nice chair, decent chair, not really nice. Anyway, um, guys, what were your first impressions? What did you think about this episode?
Oh my gosh, you know that I have been looking forward to this episode, the whole Kenpachi training section. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I do love how they kind of balanced everything out with the comedy aspect beforehand, where it's comedy and kind of like playing against itself with, Ichigo and Ryuji, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I am losing names right now. With Ichigo and Ryuji, and they're just kind of like
Wait.
hanging
You're
around.
talking about
Renji.
Renji.
Renji, thank you. I knew I was making a
No,
mistake there.
I thought you
With
were butchering the first guy, Tanjiro. The first guy with the
I,
strings. Sorry about that.
oh no
I
no,
thought I
I was
thought
not talking about Squad Zero. I was talking about the two main
dude,
characters that have been throughout Bleach series.
I thought
Uh,
I thought he was combining Renji with Yodoichi. I was like, I don't think I've heard that name before.
But I'll ship it.
honestly, I might have been doing. Oh, but no, with Ichigo and Renji, like I do love the whole comedy aspect beforehand and them just discussing like, hey, should we really be here? But like the fact of the matter is like, yes, you should. You went to battle. You have been basically destroyed by the enemy. So of course you should be there in order to rehabilitate yourselves because unless you're like, full on powerful, there's nowhere else for you to go because you're only going to be stuck there if you're not actually advancing. And then to add on to the fact of the Kenpachi Zaraki training, oh, I've been looking forward to this since the Thousand Year Blood War was announced.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah,
I know.
Isaac, I
I
have been
know.
saying it. Oh, I love it. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to see the whole training aspect, and I want to see Zaraki Kenpachi become more than what he has been throughout the anime because I know there's so much more to him. And
It's
anyways, I'm done.
definitely a good start. No, it's definitely a good start. And I said on the last video, and I was like, oh, I might leave it out because it seemed like it wasn't the consensus. But I will say, like, this is what everybody's been looking forward to. You know, the training of of Kenpachi. It's a Highlander bout. There can be only one, right? But I will recognize that yes, them going through Squad Zero is cool, and they stopped just before one of my favorites where he's working with the guy who brought Sampak Toes into existence.
Right.
But I agree with you, man. It was pretty dope. Isaac, what did you think about it?
No, the episode was cool. I mean, like I said before, like at last week's episode, it's a mellow episode for the most part, right?
It's
Compared
definitely a
to
build
what
up
they came out
episode.
with. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can tell they're trying to like rebuild back that momentum for the next act. But what I liked was what I thought was kind of cool was how in order to be a member of Squad Zero, you had to basically invent something that's impactful. You know, for instance, like I don't know her name, the chick, her deal was she made soul candies practically, right? She basically is the mother of soul candies. And then you're like, oh, that's kind of sick. And then you hear about this other guy who invented the Zongfakto, which basically you say Soul Reaper, that's their deal, right?
Yeah,
Like you
he
say
would be the
Quincy,
father of Soul Reapers. He would literally
yeah,
be
like
the creator of a Soul Reaper. Like
exactly. Because like my thing is, what were they using before the swords, before the Zongfaktos? Like that's like saying, oh, he's the creator of the Quincy's bow. Like what?
yeah, so what were they
So
beforehand?
exactly. So I thought that was cool. But what I kind of did like was, well, I mentioned this last time too, but what I hate about sub for me is when I watch something dub starting out, my whole mind is wired that way. So for me, Ichigo is Ichigo, right? I don't know him as I'm
Kurosaki.
drawing a blank. Urasaki,
Kurosaki.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know him by their last names. Like I know their last names, but when they say it, takes me like it's like a tiny split second to be like, oh, Ichigo, Ichigo. So when they're talking about Unohana's past, which you find out she was a boss ass, you know what I'm saying? Like she was that dude. um, how she was a member of the original 13 squad and how she was the first Kenpachi, and he catches you off guard because this whole time she's a healer, she's all about love and peace. I mean, she didn't even partake in the war, the invasion,
Because she was told not to. She was instructed
Oh
not to.
yeah. I mean, but still, like like I'm just kind of like, yo, that's kind of sick. And then you see why she has her braid the way it is because she has this giant gash or like a scar in her chest. But what I love about it is basically how the new Squad One captain is basically like, we need Kenpachi at his full potential. And I mean, like I said, I lost some translation there of who was who and what was what. So when she showed up at like within the courts, basically, I was like, what the hell? I mean, she looks freaking awesome though, right? With the hair pulled down and whatnot. She looked amazing. But
I
I,
actually, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off of you, Isaac, but like that was the whole thing because even in the original series, you don't get any back history with her. This is the point where you get the back history. So even if you went through the entire series, you would have no clue until this point that that was her history.
All
so,
you knew from the show and from the manga was that everyone walked on eggshells around her. Like she could
right.
look at you with that smile in her eyes. I was like, "Hey, would you get back in the exam room, please, Renji?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, ma'am." Like captains. You could tell when their sphincters just kind of like she'd be around. It's like some of the past when they did a bunch of the how Aizen came to be and stuff like that. And some of the captains we stayed around talking, and they were talking about her specifically. And then she pops. It's like, what were y'all talking about? I was like,
Nothing.
we're gonna die.
What
Yeah,
What do you mean that we were talking about?
she's the only captain who's
No,
ever shut up Kenpachi in the earlier
yeah,
episodes, where it's like,
yeah,
oh wow, like
yeah.
why? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
One thing I thought that was kind of cool though, because Kenpachi right off the bat, when he's introduced, an he's a powerhouse, right? He's just a giant thing of power. Like he's just a brute.
Mhm.
And he does because his whole thing, he wants to have fun. His joy in life is fighting. He wants to have a challenge. And what do you do when you're the best of the best? You nerf yourself. So he got the patch. That way he can take some of his what's it called? I want to say soul energy,
Spiritual
but it's not.
reishi, his spiritual pressure.
Yeah.
His ratio, yeah. His spiritual
spiritual
pressure.
energy.
His spiritual pressure, right? He uses that to get rid of it. And he's like, I'll even put bells in my hair. That way you can hear where I'm
So people
at
can
all
hear where he
times.
is. Yeah.
Mhm. And
And
he
he's
only
like,
uses one hand.
yeah, and he's like, I'll just use one hand with my sword, right? So
A
this
sword
whole
that he never
time,
sharpens. A sword that is
no
jagged,
damage
but it's
beyond
damaged and
recognition.
blunt. Like, yeah.
And the sword is not even his, mind you.
Mhm.
He picked it up off a corpse. So my thing is, he does all this, and it gives the illusion of, okay, so once he takes the eye patch off and the bells come out, then he's like legit unstoppable. But yet here she comes like, doing all that made you soft. It made you weak. And I'm like, that's the most gangster I ever heard, bro. It's like literally looking at a raging bull and saying, "Is that it?" Like,
Yeah, you could
you're,
have
you're
better.
like, yeah, you're like, you could have been better. Like, what is this?
Man,
So
I'm
just her
sad.
doing that, and the fact that you see the lieutenants, like she left a letter and Kenpachi left his eye patch, and she was like, "Oh, smart of you. That's smart. You leaving the eye patch."
Because you would have died instantly. Like, oh,
Literally.
you could tell. Like her thing is like, oh, I dare you to disrespect me. I dare you to wear that eye patch in this room. I would have had that head. Guys, it was a great episode. I think this one's going to be a little shorter than most because let's be fair, we already discussed it, so a lot of our hype train fell off. We apologize, guys. Isaac's already
Well,
apologized.
I want to throw out my theory again though,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
since it
yeah,
wasn't there,
yeah. I was
because
gonna
like I
say,
said,
leading
because
on to the theory, what do you think's going to happen, or what do you think's?
so so for another thing she said was like, she, if I recall, it's been a minute, but she gets stronger through killing, right? Like she likes to kill. If I recall, am I right? Like she likes to kill, and in order for Kenpachi to get stronger, he needs to be near the verge of death.
Yeah, he's got the Saiyan
So
bloodline, if you will. Like he's I
yeah,
mean,
pretty much. And the fact that he got the he legit died, or he was given the impression that he died, and then he's and then like he zones out, or he snaps back to reality, I guess. There goes gravity, But anyways, she's like, "Oh, like it looks like you spaced out there." It's like, "Oh, it's nothing." So my thing is, like I said, mind you, people for watching, I didn't read the manga, so I'm assuming because the first captain wants him to learn his slash because he only did it for one day and caused mayhem. So my thing is, I feel like she's gonna kill him as many times as it's possible to get him to his peak form, and then finally he'll be like, "All right, now I can die."
Mhm.
So he becomes the real Kenpachi. He learns the name, of his Zanpakuto, and then now, and then he goes back to training. Well, he only trained for one day, and that's my theory. I think she's gonna die, and she's gonna kill. She's just gonna. His lieutenant calls him Kitty, so she's probably gonna kill him 9 times or 8 times.
That's I mean,
So
come on now. And you know what? And that's good. That's
or
so that
Kenny,
incorporates what
but
we
still.
talked about before as well. So yeah, like let's be fair. He's got two objectives here: get stronger and learn the name of your Zanpakuto. If he does those two
Mhm.
things, he's achieved what he needs to do. And it's certainly setting up that one of them's going to die. But it's Kubo. You never know. Maybe they die, but then they come back randomly. But you never know.
Die Captain Kuchki,
Mm.
but just throw him in the water. He'll be okay.
He could just drown him. Like
That
Oh man.
Casey.
that actually has been my question in the manga itself. Is like they do state like only one person can live once they walk into that room.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, like this is coming from years of reading the manga, so I am not. So I am kind of confused in kind of like, wait, what did happen? Because I don't really remember what happened after the training period.
There is
I
a little bit of whenever they're saying that only one of us can walk out of here, not that one of us can live, but one of us can walk out of here, is
Mhm.
because I believe they're in the lowest point of the criminal cells, and I believe it is stated either in the manga or before that there is a level so low that only one captain at a time can go, but usually that captain is taking like someone that needs to be there because
Mhm.
only the captain can leave. Like two people enter, only one can leave.
Okay.
Like
Oh, okay.
and once you yeah once it's done so since they both got permission to go
So
down there, only one of them is leaving.
Now,
so
Like
now the
basically, if you and I walked down there, I'd have to kill you.
yeah, I mean I believe
pretty
that's how it
much.
was. I believe that's how it is. Like because that's part of the other things. Like either way, we can't leave this place until one of us is dead or accept that they're going to be here. You know,
I took it as
they're
like
coming for them
we're not leaving.
instead.
We're, we're,
So
not, we're, not, we're not leaving unless one of us is dead. I thought it was
yeah,
kind of like
Yeah.
we could go all out here and not worry about nothing, and then, but at the end of the day, one of us is gonna die. So only one of us. I kind of took it as that.
I
Like,
mean, it's also to protect everybody. Because let's be fair, it gets pretty wild, and
Mhm.
yeah.
her especially her Bonkai is very wild. Like this is
Oh my god, it
yeah.
is.
So
The other thing that you can also look at is the wording, because words always have power. So if something is worded a certain way, it can be overwritten if it's used the same way. Spoilers ahead of time. The whole Kenpachi Zaraki knowing his Bankai's name or knowing his Zanpakuto's name.
yeah,
That technically he already does know. He just doesn't know what it actually means. And that's the whole thing, is like he technically knows his Zanpakuto's name, therefore he can call the Bankai. It's just that he's not recognizing it is his Zanpakuto.
yeah.
You know what's one of my favorite episodes of Kenpachi before we cut off is where correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. His Zonpark toe did get snapped in half. And then they put it together with like bondage, and it was just laying there. And I remember him saying, "So you want to tell me your name?" And nothing. He was
His
like, "Yeah." He's
yeah.
like, "Yeah." I
I believe
figured
his
not.
leg was cut in half, but that was when he was laying on the ground. Yachiru picked him up and took him away from Ichigo after Ichigo beat him, but
Mhm.
passed out. He's laying on the
So
ground.
how
It's like
so how is this
Here, here's
repairable though? That's my
here's my
thing.
thing though. Here's what I have to say about that, is because it was not the soul of the Zanpakuto. It was the physical being. It was the physical sword. It was not the soul that resided within the Zanpakuto. Whereas with Ichigo, the same thing happened. He had his Zanpakuto. Byakuya was able to break his Zanpakuto, and it took Ichigo learning the name of his Zanpakuto in order to be able to actually pull his Zanpakuto out. That was the very beginning of Bleach itself. The
So
sword
basically,
itself was a physical
oh, yeah.
representation.
So
It did
basically,
not break the soul.
in order to get his
Afterwards,
sword fixed, he needs
right?
to he needs to know the Zanpakuto's parents' names.
No, not the Zanpakuto's parents, but the Zanpakuto
Huh?
itself, the soul that
Huh.
resides within the sword
I
itself.
mean,
That's why he
if
needs
you
to get a
do
new sword
remember,
reforged.
he had his sword broke in his Shikai form as well against Kenpachi. Kenpachi stabbed
Mhm,
right through it. So and broke it in half, and so he had to go back in and talk to Daddy Zangi, and
mhm.
learn about Uncle Hollow Ichigo, Hichigo,
Yeah,
and
Uh,
he had to go train with Yoruichi.
and then he had to go train with Yoruichi to get his
Heck yeah, he
Bankai.
did.
And that was the whole thing, is at that point, yes, he had a familiar with his Zanpakuto, but he didn't actually know his Zanpakuto. Once you are able to unleash the Bankai, that's when the soul itself resides in the sword.
Hmm.
But if you don't know the name and you don't know the presence within the sword can be broken. That because then it has no what's the word I'm looking for? No connection to the soul itself. But once you're able,
Bankai is a complete connection with that. Well, that's why Mayuri Koretsuchi was saying, like, he was like, "Can't you fix it?" Like, it's different when you break something in Shikai. That's as simple as just a recommune. You know, you recommune with the Zanpakuto, you subset connection again, fix itself. But when it's in Bankai, you and that sword are one. When it breaks, that's a permanent damage. You know, like that, it takes some time. It can take thousands of years, but ultimately, if it breaks during Bankai, you can't ever do that Bankai again. You know, and it's like, dang, you know. Which
I mean,
again,
heck,
I have my questions on that because freaking what's his face's Bankai breaks hell of a lot of time. Renji's Bankai breaks all the freaking time. Like
did,
that's
didn't we
bull crap.
discuss
I
this
feel.
beforehand?
No,
Yeah,
we discussed it in the
yeah,
last one, but I still stand by it. Like it breaks all the freaking time because he has Ryujin Jako, which is no Ryujin Jaka, but no, what is it? I think it's Ryujin Jako is what he does whenever he gets all the pieces to float up and attack someone all at once.
yeah. I think
It
that's
Yes.
freaking sick.
yeah, that is sick. So
So
maybe his is just different. It's built different.
I,
Like
But
I
honestly,
think
dude, Zabi Maru is like my favorite.
I
Like,
think
I think that's my
his
favorite sword.
is built different if we're thinking about it because
Hashtag built
his
different.
hashtag different. Because his yes, and what he does state is that that move that you're literally saying, Jeremiah, is a suicide move, meaning that he is not planning on trying to bring it back together.
yeah, because
However,
he's out of a sword.
exactly. But if you also notice, none of the pieces actually really get destroyed when they do the suicide move. It is literally him implementing most of his energy to protect the sword itself. That's why he gets fucked up. Whereas the sword, it gets damaged, but it doesn't get damaged beyond repair.
What I'm saying is the sword has broken both in Shikai and Bankai. From like the pieces breaking apart from the bone dragon from Bankai to like his sword
You're right.
itself, like against Aizen, getting cut down into a bunch of
Mhm.
pieces. And that's not normally what it's supposed to do. It's just I just feel Renji is stronger than we expect because apparently that man can go straight into Shikai after getting healed by Yodoichi or not Yodoichi but Unohana. It's like, oh wow, okay.
I mean,
I
that dude took
totally
a
believe it.
that dude ate a punch and didn't flinch. I think he's built different, bro.
I will say Renji is built different. Like, oh
Like
man,
low key, all he's missing is his goggles, and he'll be unstoppable.
To be honest, I kind of have to agree with Isaac. On this end, right now, Renji is basically the Joker of Ichigo. He represents the very opposite of what Ichigo is. Whereas Ichigo has all of his power all implemented in one place with his Bankai.
mm.
Renji's power is implemented in multiple areas.
He is
No, so
definitely interesting.
yeah,
Imagine if he had
and
main
one thing I want
character
to wrap up.
powers.
You know, and one thing I want to wrap up on with Renji, what I like about him is where Ichigo's over there feeling bad, like, should we really be doing this? We were just at a hot spring, and now we're eating this good food. He's like, and he's like, all of our comrades are like in the hospitals or whatever. He's like, dude, we were injured, we got healed. Now we're hungry. We're gonna eat.
That is my,
Now we're gonna go train.
to be
Like
honest, I agree with you. That is my favorite part in the whole thing.
Mhm.
like Renji. Because when Reggie was first introduced, he was very outspoken, I felt like. But now he just seems like very calm. Like he's saying what I'm thinking, like, dude, you're being a bitch right now. Just eat the food and we'll get to work. Like you're overthinking this.
Honestly, I think like we can't even train until we're ready. You know, like what would be the
Exactly.
point of training injured and hungry? So,
Yeah.
man, I will say that like if there's a character that's gotten a lot of character development, I feel is Renji. I really do like Renji, him and Ikaku and all them. I love the side characters in Bleach, but that's a topic for another time.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for coming. I think we will wrap it up on that just to understand Renji is a goat. This was a goat
Hell yeah.
episode,
Well,
even though it wasn't
him
a
seeing
back
his
to back.
captain get beaten to death, I think helped out with his character
I
development.
mean, there
Mhm.
always, Batman wasn't Batman until his parents died. I mean, we learned that in several movies. Like it is what it is. You gotta have
As
some
the
kind of
Joker,
backstory.
as the Joker says, all it takes is one bad day.
Exactly. Guys, thank you for coming. Casey and of course Work in Progress, thank you for coming. Where can they find you guys?
You can definitely find us over on YouTube at Work in Progress Slow. That is Work in Progress SLO, and you'll be able to find us no problem at all.
Awesome,
And
awesome.
And we also do the same thing with My Hero Academia, and we've been trying to also keep up with podcasts every Thursday. So if you guys wanted to join us on that, go ahead and do so.
Awesome, awesome. And of course, y'all are on a hiatus right now because Brent, we miss you, we love you, and you've been gone
Mhm.
in the beautiful state of California, not Texas, but we all make decisions, I guess. And
Whatever.
but either way, I think we're going to start back up. I know we're going to do a My Hero Academia recording this weekend, and I think Britt's going to be running that. That's going to be pretty dope, and I look forward to that with y'all on Sunday. For us, we're do Let's Chat, of course. Isaac, where can they find us?
Find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Do Let's Chat. And also, if you're new and you're watching the VOD, make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell that way you know when we go live, because we don't have a set schedule when we go live. It kind of just happens when it happens, but we're working on that. But tomorrow, on December 10th at 9:30ish, I am gonna continue my playthrough of Callisto Protocol.
Awesome, awesome. And we got a lot more streams.
Which is getting hate for no reason.
Oh dang! I
But
didn't know that actually.
I'll discuss that later, though.
Yeah, I want to know about that. Guys, again, thank you for coming by. If you got any comments about the episode, let us know how you liked it, how this review, if you liked it, didn't like it, leave us a comment below. Of course, like, comment, or subscribe if you'd like to. Either way, we'll see you for the next review. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay beautiful.